And we are on live, finally, after 22 minutes. I've been gone for 2 weeks, all right? I haven't had a show in 2 weeks, and the one thing I was hoping was, please, Google Plus, can you give me a hand and set everything up and make everything perfect? And they said, no, Dylan, we're not going to do that for you. So
the Google gods did not smile on you today.
But we're here now, and we are live, and this is Dylan Knows after a 14-day, 2-week hiatus, 1 week of which was not my fault. The computer wasn't working properly, and I spent that whole day with my buddy Tony Solo fixing that, and we got that all fixed up, taken care of. And then I was thinking about doing one from the beach house. I was on vacation last week, but the Wi-Fi, this is one of the things I hate about this beach house. This beach house is beautiful. It's absolutely lovely, gorgeous, oceanfront, fantastic, lots of rooms, nice rooms. The Wi-Fi sucked ass. I mean, it would go in and out, and there was no message from the owners of the house like what is the Wi-Fi password or whatever. No, it was just there was in certain rooms you would get a strong signal, and others there would be no signal, and then it would just shift to a whole different thing. So, and I had to use like 3 or 4 different Wi-Fi signals as well.
Yeah. That would have been a nightmare to try.
First world problems, I know, but still, that's why I didn't do it. The funny thing is, though, my wife Dawn was on Snark Alex Radio on Thursday, and she worked fine. So I probably could have done a show, but I figured, it's my vacation. I just started
Why risk it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Why make yourself crazy on vacation? So.
Absolutely right. So I'm back, and hopefully it'll be uninterrupted string of episodes now. I've got some big stuff coming up in September that I'll talk about at the end of the show to share with you guys. It's kind of cool. And but we're not here for that. We're here for talking about comics. This is Dylan Knows. It is a weekly YouTube show that I produce. I'm on episode 45 right now. Every week is a different genre, and the first Sunday of the month is always my comic show with my good friend, Mr. MJ Caan. Hello, MJ.
Hello, Dylan. Welcome back from vacation. You're nice and rested, ready to chat.
Yep, and unfortunately I got to go to work tomorrow, so that's the one bad side about
Welcome back to reality.
But the fact of the matter is, we are in August. We are in the stretch run of summer. Hasn't been a too bad summer temperature-wise, so that's pretty good. And fall's my favorite season. That's coming up fast and furious, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
But we are here to talk about comic books. A lot of stuff going on in the comic world today. I mean, everywhere I look on social media, be it Twitter or Google Plus or even Facebook Matter, the big news is the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I was dying to see, but once again, down the beach house. I probably could have gone. There was a movie theater nearby, but once again, it was just a lot of craziness, a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on, so I just didn't get a chance to go out. Hopefully, I'll be able to get a chance maybe next weekend. I don't know when. My Saturday's pretty much booked up now, and then I got another show on Sunday. Actually, you know what? I don't. That's right, because GG can only do Saturday. Ooh, maybe next Sunday I can go see it. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. MJ though has seen it, and
I have seen it.
He's going to give us. Go ahead. You let us know.
I was going to say I can highly recommend that movie. I kind of had a feeling it was going to be pretty good, but I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it turned out to be. I mean, the writing is amazing. The story is one you can follow. The action scenes are impeccable. I mean, it's an amazing movie. There's humor in it, humor that I wasn't expecting. It throws in a lot of pop cultural references that we would know here on Earth that's playing out in space. Like the main character at one point introduces them to the concept of Footloose with Kevin Bacon, and that just starts this whole trend with them. So it's a really, really good movie, and I think that if you are not familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy, you don't have to have read the comic books. You don't have to be familiar, because the way that they tell it is, of course, an origin story, how they get together, can follow it with no problems. It does tie in a little bit to the Marvel universe and some of the characters. Without spoiling too much, Thanos does make an appearance. So Thanos is in it. A little bit about what's going on with him, but the basic premise is it starts off with a young boy who's the character Peter in it, Peter Quills, getting abducted, an alien abduction, as they don't really say, I guess he's like 10 years old, but he's abducted after his mother passes away. So then it skips ahead to maybe another 20 years to the man played by Chris Pratt, who is just, this rogue wannabe interstellar thief. Basically, he's going around like a bounty hunter, just securing items for the highest pay. So he is contracted to collect this orb and bring it to somebody who's going to pay him a lot of money. Well, it turns out this orb is wanted by every other big bad guy in the galaxy as well, so that kind of leads to, him being introduced to the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy crew. They're after the orb. Rocket Raccoon and Groot are two of the mainstays of the movie. I mean, the first I saw it, I was like, oh my god, a talking raccoon, a talking plant, but they are hilarious. I mean, the CGI is incredible. It really does work. Bradley Cooper voices Rocket Raccoon, Vin Diesel voices Groot, who really only knows 3 words to say, but the thing about it is the way he says the same 3 words over and over conveys what he's feeling at the time, what he's thinking, and of course Rocket Raccoon has an empathy with him, so he knows what he's saying, and he kind of translates it to everybody else. But it's just, takes off from all of them trying to get this orb. They land in this intergalactic prison, which is where they meet the other character, Drax. They all kind of band together, escape, and just go on this adventure of trying to figure out what this orb is, keeping it away from the bad guys, which of course they do find out what it is, and it turns out to be an Infinity Stone. And it's just an amazing, amazing movie. So I recommend it to anybody who likes science fiction, who likes a good story, who likes action, humor. It's all in there. And I think it's done pretty well at the box office, so, there's a lot of people going to see it.
Yeah, they were originally projected, this was last week, they were projecting, because that nobody knew who the characters were, there was really no major stars in it, as it were. They were projecting, okay, maybe somewhere in the 60 to 70 range, something like that, and then they started changing it as of Thursday night, when the midnight shows made a record $11 million on a Thursday night, which outdid Captain America's The Winter Soldier, which is another great movie. Their Thursday night take, and then Friday, there's like, okay, well maybe they'll jump it up to maybe 75, 80, maybe because of that, and then Friday night I think it was like $30-some million, and like, oh, we better really rethink this.
I think it's word of mouth that's starting to go around right now. Everybody's asking about it. Everybody's talking about it on social media. It's getting amazing reviews, and I really do think word of mouth is going to drive this movie.
Hopefully it won't be just through the first weekend, because it as of now is projected to make $94 million, which is better than I think Captain America did the last really big Marvel movie that was connected to Marvel. I mean, there was Amazing Spider-Man and stuff like that, but I think this made more than the Captain America did, and I agree with you. I think a lot of it is the social media, but also they've been blitzing the heck out of it. Been seeing TV ads for it, and it is mostly the social media. I see people talking about it all the time. The Rotten Tomatoes has it certified fresh, which means that there are more positive reviews than negative ones. So it is a big thing, and I think a lot. They're also trying to get a lot of kids in, even though I've heard some things that it's really violent.
Yeah, and I think that part of it is that I don't know if they're tying it into like kids' characters or not. Like Rocket Raccoon is nice and cuddly. He would make a great little kids' meal toy, but this raccoon is not a toy. He is not somebody to play around with. I mean, it is just, he can be brutal, let me tell you. But it's it's PG-13. It's really, it's okay for children to a certain point, but don't go expecting it to be some cute, cuddly little raccoon, a talking house plant, a couple of other characters. No, it is not that. They've got some serious issues that they need to work out, and a lot of times the way they work them out is with guns and knives. So,
And that's what's great about us, because that's what the characters are like in the comics. They are not these cute and cuddly characters that say, oh, let's just throw them in there, and they could be our, R2-D2, C-3PO, or Chewbacca, or whatever from Star Wars. No, these are actual characters who are, as you said, they are criminals. They're in jail. They steal things. They hurt people. They kill people. So like that. They're not heroes per se, but I mean, maybe through their interactions with Peter Quill, maybe they are becoming more heroic, and that's sort of what's happening along the lines with the comics also. Yeah. I'm very excited to see that it's doing really well. I always liked Guardians of the Galaxy. And I've always loved the character of Rocket Raccoon. As those who watched our show last time knew, I was just...
You were Rocket.
Rocket, yeah. And I got my T-shirt. Here's the thing also, you talk about, it's a lot of... kids are focusing on it. Well, at the Disney store, I bought a Rocket Raccoon T-shirt for myself, and I got a Marvel one, which I got on now.
Yeah.
But they also had kids shirts, which had Rocket and Groot on it, and then they had toys for kids that had Rocket on it and stuff like that. Like I think one was like the one for little kids is like Rocket was on a actual like spaceship like type thing, and you pull this trigger and sparks and colors fly and stuff like that. So young kids are like, ooh, pretty.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a mixed message because Disney's going to put that out there. Parents are going to see it, and they're going to take really. I saw a couple of young children there, but by young I mean maybe 10, 11, and they seem to be fine with it, but I didn't see anybody younger than that. So hopefully, they kind of realize that, 4 and 5-year-olds may like the toys, but they should not see this.
Right. And that's fine. I mean, the big thing is it's still maybe under the impression that comic books are for kids, which I think is starting to get the news starting to gather that it's not so much for kids anymore, but there's still people out there, maybe even the businesses who say, oh, it's a comic book, so obviously it's going to be more oriented towards kids and stuff like that. Well, let's make all these kids toys and stuff like that, and then parents are going to see that, oh, cool, and the kids will be like, oh, I want to see Rocket, and I'll give you a good example. My 7-year-old daughter, we were watching some commercials for Guardians of the Galaxy, and every time Rocket came on, she giggled. Because it's a cute little raccoon with a gun, and talking and stuff like that. So she didn't really care much for Groot, but it was just a little cute fuzzy raccoon talking, and she was giggling and laughing, and I was like, sorry, babe, I don't think you'll be able to see it for a while.
Not this go around. They've already started the second one, so that's a good thing. So or not started, but they've already greenlit it, so the second one is a go. I think they did that before it even came out. They knew what they had on their hands.
They announced that at San Diego, which is something we'll get into a little later. I mean, I'll just touch on it briefly. San Diego is very light on the Marvel movie news. The biggest one being Guardians of the Galaxy already got greenlit for a sequel.
Right.
Because I think at that time they were working on the projections of $69 to $70 million, and to them, taking characters nobody's ever seen before or heard of before, and the way things were trending, that would be an amazing amount of money to make for almost total nobody. So it was a no-brainer to go for that. Right. So I think that's come out, and I think they said 2017. So you've got about 3 more years to go before you see the sequel. But the rumor mills are churning, obviously, as soon as it was announced, and with the fact that the globe, the item that they were chasing after in the film, is part of the Infinity Gauntlet, is that. And I think I actually believe Joss Whedon or someone actually said that Avengers 3 will actually be the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So you're going to need, and I think we talked about this a little bit last time also, is that you're probably going to try to maybe set up a crossover between the two of them, because you got to look at it this way: Avengers 2 will be out in 2015. Right. And if they go by a 3-year period, 2018 will be Avengers 3. So if you bring in Guardians of the Galaxy 2017, you can maybe start the crossover there and then have it finish in Avengers 3. So, I mean, as I said, Marvel has a plan. They announced a ton of new dates, like all the way through like 2019 or something like that. They've got got comic book movies set up, and that's the thing is everybody's expecting, oh, they're going to tell us which ones they are. Well, no, actually they aren't. There's speculation. Now, for the most part, they've got the green light that one's going to be a Doctor Strange movie, so that one's pretty much a given. And probably sequels to some. Captain America 3 is already scheduled to go up against I think Batman and Superman in 2016, I think. Yeah, so they're going to go. So it's already got Captain America 3 going up against Batman and Superman, in that one. So we'll see what happens with that. And other than that, I mean, even Robert Downey Jr. was saying, hey, maybe a Iron Man 4 might be in the cards, and Mark Ruffalo saying maybe a Hulk movie might be in the cards. Right. Stuff like that. So apparently we're going to find out more about the Hulk in Avengers 2. That was some of the stuff that was coming out of San Diego, was that he plays a big role in the in the second film, and we've seen some pictures of Mark Ruffalo with Tony Stark and other stuff as well. So it's Marvel, and that's what's really good. Marvel is really exciting about what they're doing with their movies, and they're doing a really good job. And unfortunately, this is the last one for this year, so there's going to be no more Marvel movies this year. So the next one we look forward to is the Avengers 2 is the next big one. And honestly, I don't know what other ones they've got coming out yet. I'll have to
Yeah, I'm not sure at this point what they're going to do after Avengers 2 or what the timing's going to be. But there's really no way that they can not have them interact with the Guardians at some point because so much of the story in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie is the personal vendetta that some of these characters have against Thanos. I mean, two of the main characters in there are his children. So, you're talking about this vendetta that some of them have against him. They know him on a personal level. They know what he has done to the galaxy and to their home worlds, and they're just out to get him. And so I just don't see how you're going to be able to separate the two. So.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, I hope to see it sometime very soon. Really excited for it, and we'll see what happens. So good. Go see it. MJ Caan won't steer you wrong. Go see it.
Go see it. Trust me. Just don't take your small children. It will scare them in places. Believe me. It made me jump a couple times, so don't take small children to it. But it's good. Excellent movie.
Awesome. Real quick, before we move on to the next one, I do have the Q&A up, so if anybody out there wants to ask MJ and I a question or make a comment about either Guardians of the Galaxy, if you guys liked it, have seen it and liked it, or if you have any questions for maybe MJ about the movie or anything else, comic related, let us know, because right now it's a blank slate. But that's good because we're just getting started right now. We've got 4 viewers, which is fantastic. The viewer total is kind of off a little bit, so we'll they say only 4 viewers. We might have more than that, but it doesn't matter anyway because we're having fun. So now let's get into some more movie news real quick since we've already been talking about it. As mentioned earlier, San Diego really didn't do that much except say from the Marvel aspect, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out. They showed a lot more pictures and descriptions and behind-the-scenes stuff for the Avengers 2, and including apparently a shot of Captain America's shield cut in half, right. And all the Avengers defeated by Ultron. They had some descriptions of the Vision is going to look a lot like the Vision that I think John Byrne did in Avengers West Coast, the all-white type of Vision, so we're going to see a Vision type of character in there as well. The Hulk is going to play a big role in it. There's a possibility that the ending will have them via either the Avengers or Ultron shooting the Hulk into outer space, which may lead into the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel. We'll see. And that's the other thing also that I read today too is that, as I said, Guardians of the Galaxy is all over social media, and Google Plus has a ton of stories from Comic Book News, which is one of the guys I follow. And one of them is that James Gunn is teasing that, there's going to be another character from the comics added to the next movie. So you're going to get a new member of Guardians of the Galaxy who's in on the comics. So of course, he's not letting us know who it is yet because he's probably just got some preliminary notes down. He said he's going to direct it already, so he's already in for directing it and writing it. So he's ready to go, so he's going to rock and roll. He's probably got some ideas about what he wants to do, and he's going to roll with it. So good for him. That's good. The other big news from Marvel that came out of San Diego is the Ant-Man. They did a whole bunch of stuff about Ant-Man stuff. That's the other movie that I know of is coming out next summer, too. Ant-Man's going to be out. I think is going to take the spot that Guardians had, so it's going to be like a early August, maybe late July type of debut. Everyone knows about the problems that have been happening with that. They lost their director and writer, Edgar Wright. They've hired Peyton Reed, who's done a bunch of bubbly type movies before, and then they're also saying, well, he's using a lot of the stuff that was in the Edgar Wright script, so it might not be too bad. They've lost some cast members. None of the main characters, the actors said we didn't want to do this. We wanted to work with Edgar Wright, but now we can't, so we're going to leave. So they have to recast a few roles. None of the big ones, the big ones are still in there. Michael Douglas is still in there. Paul Rudd's still in there. Evangeline Lilly's still there. So they're all hanging around there. We got some more views of what it's going to be like. They showed the Ant-Man costume. It looks pretty close to the one in the comics. We learned a little bit about Evangeline Lilly's character. She's not going to be playing Janet Van Dyne. She'll actually be playing the daughter of like an alternate reality Van Dyne. I wasn't quite sure, but she's playing someone called like the Red Wasp maybe or something like that, so we'll see about that. There's going to be a Yellow Jacket in there played by somebody else, so there's going to be a whole lot of different things. So they were showing some of the stuff off about that, so you get to see the first poster, you get to see what the costume looks like. and some news from the front about what's going on. So Ant-Man's moving along real quick. And to be honest, it's really about all they talked about. I mean, I think Marvel said we've got all these other dates coming up, you know, and they've got dates all the way through like the 2019 for Marvel Comics, but no. Well, this is where this one's going to go. This one's going to go. So say we have this date set in stone for a Marvel movie. Which one's going to be? Who knows? Everyone thought that they might have revealed a few more of them. The big one being they thought not Doctor Who. No, my mind is Doctor Strange.
Somebody has been binge watching again.
That's starting to get that's starting to get the big hoopla now. I mean, 23rd is not that far away now, 20 days from now. So for Doctor Who fans, but Doctor Strange, they were trying to get some word about that. They've pretty much for the most part said that's going to be one of the movies is going to fill one of the dates that they've got blacked out. They just don't know which one yet. So. We'll see. I mean, they supposedly already have a director, and everyone thought, okay, they're going to announce who the star is going to be. Nope, they didn't do that. So, kind of low-key San Diego appearance from Marvel. Same with DC a little bit. DC focused mostly more about their Superman v. Batman, Cry for Justice, or
Dawn of Justice.
I keep forgetting.
Cry for Justice. You know what? That would be better, I think, than Dawn of Justice. I like Cry for Justice better.
It makes more sense, actually.
It does make more sense.
But so yeah, we got to see the first pictures of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Yeah. But again, it's the first. I've learned not to go by the pre-production photos anyway. So
yeah,
and they also awful and turn out to be amazing. I mean, look at Quicksilver. That's all I have to say. I saw that and I was immediately like, I am not watching this. Now I'm like, oh, I wish they'd do it again.
So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully that'll work out good too. So we'll see about that as well. So I mean, they didn't really. More people were thinking, okay, they're going to mention more about that the leak of all the names of the movies that they were going to be putting in the pipeline came out, and then they didn't say yes, this is true, or no, this isn't true. They just sort of brushed it aside and didn't even talk about. So as far as we know, the movies that were listed after that, like the Flash, Green Lantern movie, and the Batman Wonder Woman movie that we saw listed, might not be true. They might not have any plans. They might just say, hey, maybe we need to send this out so it looks like we're doing something.
Right. We need to have something to show. This is San Diego. We got to show something. So
yeah. So
I think they did have a lot more information about some of the TV shows, or at least they seemed to be. Yep. So that was good. More of the Flash, Arrow. The next season was teased for that, so that looks really good. Gotham, I'm still going to withhold judgment on that, so we'll see what Gotham is like. But
yeah, I've been seeing some of the stuff, but it's starting to intrigue me a little bit more. It was one of those things that of all the ones that are coming out, that was like at the bottom of the barrel. But I'll probably check it out just the first couple of issues. Constantine's gotten a lot of stuff. I mean, there's talks that they're going to bring in a lot more of the supernatural characters than expected. There were a few rumors that there were some that would be rolling in, and there's going to be also lots of Easter eggs in it, so that's going to tease some things. The guy who's playing the Flash, I think, or maybe it was ML who plays the Arrows, saying, yeah, we're going to build up our own Justice League, and so they might have a Justice League TV show just with the Flash and Green Lantern, and not Green Lantern, Green Arrow, and all those. So and the TV show, and maybe that's where DC should send most of their work, because that seems to be really successful for them. I mean, it's blowing things out of the air. I'm really looking forward to the Flash.
I am too. Yeah.
And I think he looks great. As I said, I know you like Arrow, and I'm behind on Arrow, but they did say Ra's al Ghul will be the big bad guy in that one, and Katana's going to be in it, and they've got a few others. So they're bringing in a lot of the DC characters via the TV show. Flash has got like a ton of them. I'm reading all these names. It's like, oh, this guy's going to be here, and so is this one. And so is this one. I was like, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think it's a good medium. I think they've solved the long-form storytelling format. It seems to be working better for them than their movies seem to do. So. We'll see. They don't have to have the big, huge superheroes, the Superman, the Batman. This second-tier hero seems to be working for them. So, it's good stuff.
It is good stuff, and we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for Constantine now. They showed a picture of him with some smoke around him, so maybe they're going to ease up a little bit on the cigarettes, maybe a little bit. We'll see. Or maybe it's going to be something else. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be like incense or something.
It's all the hellfire he breathes. That's stuff will kill your lungs right there. So that's what it is. Too much time in hell. But I think for Constantine, what's going to make or break that is how dark they're willing to go. If they make it look just kind of like all, I don't know, not light and cheery, because it's not going to be that, but they've really got to get into the mythos and be afraid to say, you know what, it's very dark, some of the stuff he does. It's very frightening, and they've got to do that. It's almost like they got to go where Hannibal goes in some of their other shows, because if they pull back and just kind of tame it down a little bit, it's not going to work. So
I agree with that. I agree. Hopefully, but I mean, some of the stuff I got hearing that they've got some pretty vicious villains coming up, and they've got the fact that they're going to be teasing a lot of the supernatural superheroes. Right. That's a good sign anyway. So we'll see. And as I said, as we mentioned before, Gotham, I've been seeing some of the. I watched the trailer. The trailer wasn't that bad actually. I kind of like the girl who's going to play Catwoman. I saw a picture of what the Penguin looks like. He's young enough that he could appear to be, a pretty good, character to begin with. I just don't like the premise. Yeah. I know you want to jack the villains in there, and because they're the name for it. But if you're just gonna say, oh, it's young Catwoman or young Penguin or young Joker, it's not gonna work because Batman's not there yet. And that's the whole point. Is that are they going to focus on the fact that there's these people who are teetering on the edge? And we see them as they get older, they're getting more mental and psychotic or whatever, and then you bring in Batman when he gets old enough, and then it's like snaps him like that. Is that what they're going to play for? Who knows?
See, I don't know, because so many of the villains, their mentality is kind of created by their interaction with the Batman. So if he's not there, what is it that's driving them and setting them on the path that they're going? Maybe that's what they're going to show, that they have the potential to do these awful things, and then it's just that craze that takes over when they run into him that sets it off. But I'll watch the first episode, first couple, see what happens, but I'm holding back on that one.
Yeah, so. Me too. But it happens. And then the Daredevil TV show for Netflix has started filming. I think they are saying. I don't think they actually came out and said it's going to be in the 70s, but it's going to be a 70s style. TV series, so that's something to look forward to. So the fact that Daredevil is filming right now is pretty good. Yes. And then I just found this out. This was sort of swept under the rug, but Fantastic Four finished principal photography not too long ago. Mara Rooney or whatever, whoever's playing Sue Storm, she tweeted out, end of principal photography for Fantastic Four, and a picture of her and her four Fantastic Four castmates, going out to party or something like that. So, that's coming out next year also. I'm still holding my breath about that because Mara's whole comment about not reading any of the Fantastic Four stuff, and that the story is not going to take place of any of that, and then the director's like, well, yeah, it actually is going to do a little bit of it, so
who knows?
Who knows?
They're keeping it very tightly under wraps, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So it could just be one that they're like, you know what, we're going to do it, throw it out there, see what happens.
So maybe the fall we'll be able to see some of the like the first trailer, some actual, maybe see what the thing looks like, and maybe we'll have a little bit more to talk about that. But the fact that that's almost done means that it will be hitting its target date probably of coming out next year. So that's basically, I think you've got Avengers 2, you've got Fantastic Four, which isn't a part of the Avengers, part of the Marvel Universe proper because it's owned by a different company. Right. But the fact is that's going to be the other Marvel one, and then you've got Ant-Man. So those are the big ones. And I still feel like I'm missing one for next year, but I honestly I couldn't tell you. Maybe they are only releasing 2. I guess they only released 2 this year because Guardians and Captain America. So maybe that's all they're doing is maybe 2 a year. So
Spider-Man.
Well, but not the Marvel.
Not really Marvel.
Not the Marvel proper series. So we'll see. So that should be good. Anything else TV series wise? Oh, I just read this also. Elisha Dushku, played Faith in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series. She says she would love to play She-Hulk. Joss Whedon connected to the Avengers. Play She-Hulk in the new Avengers movie. She would be a good character to have in there. Only issue I have is I don't think she's tall enough. But you know what? There's CGI. There's whatever you can do. I like Elijah Dushku. I think she'd be good. I think she'd be a good Jennifer Walters. She can put her hair back and she can be
put the little power suit on, be a lawyer. I can see it.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. So that's good. I think that's about that for it. Now in comic book proper, we teased this a little bit last time. There was talk that they were going to reveal the new Captain America in the comics,
Right.
and they didn't know who it was going to be at the time. But now we know it is going to be Sam Wilson playing the Falcon.
Mhm.
And I know you were talking about some of the issues you had with his character in the most recent storyline. So maybe this will help fix it up a little bit and resolve that as well. So so we've got a new Captain America. We're going to have a female Thor, which was another big story that I don't think we touched on. I think that came out after we did our show. Yeah. So we've got a female Thor, which brought up a lot of, once again, just a big shitstorm of saying, why are you destroying my character?
It was awful, some of the stuff that was going back and forth. People were very pro, people were very anti. I mean, it was just ridiculous, what some of the stuff that was going on. And I had tweeted out a picture, I don't know if you saw it, and I said to all of those who were concerned about a female Thor, I said, don't forget, there was Beta Ray Bill. And so I was like, I had a picture of him, and I'm like, look, if you can accept that as somebody who can wield the power of Thor, I don't want to hear anything about a female Thor. So.
Exactly, and I have no issues with it. I think it's a great idea, and we all know it's not going to be permanent. They did say, it was interesting that I guess in the Avengers comics, there have been some adventures in the future, and there was one panel which showed the same looking female in sort of the same garb, but just without the hammer. So we're thinking that her character, whoever it is, because right now we don't know who it is, there was speculation that it was Angela, but now there was a picture that they just revealed of the new Avengers team, and Angela is with the female Thor, so that's not going to be the case. Okay. She has blonde hair, from what I recall, so I don't think it's going to be Sif, so who knows?
Yeah. And my thing, I was thinking too, well, it's not like they're going to call her Thor. It's not like she's going to be, I don't think so. I mean, Thor was his name, not the character. So she should still have her own name, her own persona. She's just going to wield the power of Thor that she's, deemed worthy of control of having.
She's going to be the goddess of thunder. Thor's the god of thunder. Right. That's his name. And that's a great
title.
Point.
Right.
That's a great point, because that's in all your mythology, the name of the person is their name. Apollo, Zeus, right. Thor, Odin, Loki. Those are the people's names. It's not that's not part of their titles. Thor is Thor. It'd be like Dylan, God of Thunder, or MJ, God of Writing. Something like that. It's not you're MJ, God of Writing, but you're not MJ. you're like Lewis or something like that.
Yeah, so that part was kind of confusing when people were complaining about that. Like, it's just, this is the worst thing ever. How can you do this to him? I'm like, okay, whatever. And he was a frog once. Yes, don't forget that. So. And
they made that, and that was an absolutely brilliant storyline. Walt Simonson did it. He also brought in Beta Ray Bill. I mean, you gotta mix it up a little bit. I know a lot of people are like, well, they're just changing it for changing it. Well, no, Jason Aaron is going to be the writer. He's been writing Thor now for a few years now, and he probably had a what he wanted to do. I mean, that's what Ed Brubaker did. Ed Brubaker, when he came on Captain America, he knew he wanted to have Captain America get killed, and then have Bucky come back. Captain America gets killed. Bucky takes over as Captain America, and then we'll bring back Captain America. He had all that planned out. I mean, that was his storyline. These writers, and you being a writer, you can agree with this, that you're not just going in. He's like, I'm just going to write an issue at a time, and we'll see where the storyline goes. No, these writers, they sit down and say, okay, I want to get from this point to this point, and I got to do all this stuff to get to this point. So they have a beginning, they got an end game planned out, and then if they like what they're doing and they reach their end game, they create another end game, and they just continue on with that one, and they set it up with that,
But they definitely have a vision, and then they just figure out the way to get to that vision, to the end point. But yeah, so this was not like a spur of the moment thing, and I'm sure it will somehow wrap in, and I guarantee you, once it's done, people are going to be like, okay, well, that wasn't so bad. So.
Yeah. And then here's the thing also, I mean, if they, and we've been noticing this a lot more, is that the Marvel movie universe and the Marvel Comics universe has been slowly becoming integrated together. Yes. Coulson's going to become a regular character in some of the regular Marvel comics now, and some of the other things going on. I think they're going to be bringing in Ming-Na Wei's character from the TV series, making her part of the Marvel universe proper in the comics as well, and just build all that stuff. if you look at the movies, I mean, there's already been talk that Chris Evans has said that he doesn't really want to do Captain America that much longer.
Right.
He's contractually obligated to do Avengers 2, which he's doing right now, and Captain America 3, and I think that's it. And so if he decides not to re-up, you can bring in the actor who played Bucky, and he can take over for Captain America. It happened in the comics, so why not in the movies? Yeah. So you can have that, and then and Chris Hemsworth's the same way. Chris Hemsworth is like, I want to start doing more than Thor. So I think he's just contractually obligated just to do Avengers 2. I don't think he's up for a Thor 3. I don't know if that's in the cards yet. But he's been talking about wanting to get out of that. So why not maybe sign him to one more film, and once again do like what they're doing with Cap, and possibly is hand the baton off to the female Thor. So you can get a female actress to play Thor, and then you got yourself a female superhero movie, which a lot of women are rightfully complaining about. Which is another big thing, is that there are still no female-centric movies, Marvel movies, or even DC movies out yet. And the fact is, I mean, I think what really drew it was that the week of San Diego, Lucy came out with Scarlett Johansson, and #1 at the box office and made a shit ton of money. And all the women were like, hey, look, it's an action film with a woman, and it made a lot of money. Come on, wake up,
If you can do it right. But, all it'll take is one more Elektra, and the women are screwed. So
yeah, that is a good point. Yeah,
they have got to take it seriously. They can't just be like, oh, let's put some tights on this one and, show her butt a couple times and let her lift a car. That won't work. So, they have got to take it seriously.
Absolutely good point. Absolutely good point. So, we'll see about that. So we covered those two big things, and then the whole thing also is Iron Man is now going to become Superior Iron Man. We just went through Superior Spider-Man, and now supposedly Tony Stark's going to become more of a dick now, and sort of he's going to be giving out extremists, I guess, to everybody, because they used that in the Hulk comic to cure the Hulk. And now of his brain, he got shot in the head. If you haven't been reading the Hulk got shot in the head. They got a brain surgeon to operate, but he was being held against his will, and he might have caused a little bit of damage to the brain, so he was sort of not there. He was a little off, and then once everything got worked out, they brought him back in. Iron Man put the extremists in, and now he's Smart Hulk again. So he's going to see that works good, and supposedly he's going to be moving out to California and is going to be selling extremists to whoever wants, and is going to become more of a dick. So, and that's the thing also, and this all goes back to the whole Marvel #1s. Like they throw #1s at the wall all the time and say, hey, let's see what sticks. Or they reboot. It runs like 7 issues and say, okay, we're going to start over again with another #1. They're doing that again with Avengers. I mean, they're going to have all these new Avengers. You're going to have the female Thor. You're going to have the new Captain America. You're going to have the Superior Iron Man in there. You're going to have Angela, supposedly is going to be a member of the Avengers now also. So you got all these new characters rolling in, and it's just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
But,
you know what? They're running a business too. They got to see what works, and if the movies are successful, they're drawing in new clientele, new members with the movies. Then they got to somehow give them something that they can keep up with, not something that they have to know what happened 5 years ago in order to understand it. So
it makes sense. It just, to me, it's just kind of yeah. I mean, not to say there isn't any bad #1s. I mean, there's some good new series out there, and we'll get into that in our last bit when we talk about comics for newbies. But there are some good #1s out there. But and maybe it's just the old fuddy-duddy in me, whatever, where I like to have, I'd like to have a comic get to like issue 150 or 175 or 212, and see that. I mean, that's what it was in the old days. I mean, you bring a new creative team, it'd be like issue 252, brand new story arc, brand new characters, and then they would do their thing, and then issue 377, new storyline, stuff like that, and it worked. That worked. It was never okay. We got a new story, we got a new writer, new artist. Let's just make a new #1.
Yeah. No.
I cannot imagine. We should take a look at the comic book price guide and just see, okay, Avengers #1, 1960, Avengers #1, 1982, Avengers #1, 1992, Avengers #1,
see how many there were.
2004, Avengers #1, 2006, Just like, alrighty then, okay.
And I had forgotten, I was just starting to realize just how many new Avengers titles there are. I mean, there's a lot that they're doing, and I mean that's one of their flagships. That's their right, but I just think that it's become so diluted. It kind of gets confusing when you're looking at, there are 6 new Avengers titles and groups. That's like what's going on, who's with what. So but we'll see what happens.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And this is another thing that for another day that we just need to sit down and just talk about, because I want to rant about it, but I'm not going to right now. Because I've been doing it periodically through some of our other episodes, but it's just one of the things that still drives me absolutely bonkers. I mean, I go to my comic book store. I'll give you a good example. I was on vacation this week, and then I came back Saturday, and I had to go out and get some groceries because we didn't have anything at the house that we need. I mean, we had a bunch of stuff from the beach, but nothing that like milk or stuff like that, stuff that couldn't travel well. So I had to go out and get some milk for the kids, stuff like that. So I figured, you know what? I've got some time. Comic book store's right around the corner. Why don't I just go pick up my comics for the week? So I go to my comic book store. Unfortunately, it did happen to be a 5th Wednesday, which means not a lot of stuff comes out anyway. But I go in there. I bought all DC stuff. That's it. I mean, I didn't buy any. I didn't buy any independent. Didn't buy any Marvel. But I looked at Marvel. The Marvel rack was completely filled with books. And it was like, and they were all original Sin crossovers. And it was like Avengers, Avengers Union, Avengers International, Hulk versus Iron Man. It was like all these. It was like 6 or 7 as you said, 6 or 7 like Avengers titles, and then there might have been like an additional 3 or 4 X-Men titles, like Astonishing X-Men or X-Men Avengers, something like that. And it was just like, there's actually nothing that I want. There's nothing that I want to read. So I bought all DCs, and there were no independents. Also, there was like, I think there was one independent I wanted to get, but I think my store sold out of it. So we can get that later. But yeah, that's what happens. But speaking of DC. This is kind of a spoiler for those who haven't been reading Batman Eternal, but I tweeted this out to you, MJ, because I know in our Batman show he was your favorite villain. I mentioned it, I'm going to let you go ahead and mention he was your favorite. Who popped up in the last issue of Batman Eternal? Not this new one, but the last one.
Deacon Blackfire. Yeah. Good old Deacon Blackfire, the cult leader who, actually kind of, I guess he mentally broke the Batman. Back in their I think that was a 4-issue limited series, but he broke the Batman, and it was just an amazing story, I think. But it was so good to see him pop up on that last page. So I was quite excited when you sent that, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna go. So, And then I haven't read it yet, but I looked through the most recent issue, the one that came out this week. He plays a much bigger role in this issue, and there even is sort of a throwback, a callback to how Batman looks in the cult. So apparently, spoilers again, Batman has gotten captured and he's chained up and beaten and bloody, so it's kind of interesting. So he looks like he's going to be a big player in this series as well. So he's a very interesting character. So I hope so. I think that he got into his head, and that's very hard to do. I mean, how often does that happen, that someone gets into Batman's head like that? So it's good to see him back, and I hope that they pick back up where it kind of left off, in the fact that he loves to psychologically torture this man. And well, here's stuff is better. So.
Yeah, the only problem with that is I don't think that the cult is no longer a part of New 52 mythos or whatever, and I think that this story, the Batman Eternal story, might be their version of Batman the Cult, because, I mean, for those who've read the first issue, it opens with Batman chained up, broken, and beaten on the bat symbol while Gotham burns. Is it possible that maybe Deacon Blackfire is the one who caused this? It very well possibly could be. So, this could be their version of the cult, just in Batman Eternal. So, which is a shame, because it is. The cult is a fantastic. I think it's Bernie Wrightson, I think, might have done the artwork for that. I think so. It was a really good series, and I loved it. And I knew you'd like it since he was your favorite Batman villain when we did our Batman show. Sticking with Batman, they seem to be doing some tinkering with the Batman mythos coming up. They have a new creative team on Batgirl, which actually I'm pretty excited about. Cameron Stewart, who's British, and he's actually more of an artist. He's writing the new Batgirl, and he's got I believe it's a female artist is going to be drawing Batgirl, and she's making her more modern looking. Actually, and a new costume, more like a contemporary 2014, I guess, 20-year-old woman, however old. I guess she is, because she's out on her own. Like, she's about 21, 22-ish. and to see that, see her do that, and actually, it's got me excited. I mean, I'm sad that Gail Simone is leaving because I like Gail Simone. She's been writing a hell of a Batgirl. But this new creative team, from just what I've seen, it looks really good. It looks really exciting and different. And then, once again, she hasn't officially announced it, but Gail sort of teased something in her Twitter feed that she may be going back to the Secret Six, which is like her major group that she worked at. She created the Secret Six in DC. Right. She wrote the series for the longest time. It was fantastic series. And she hated having it not be part of the New 52, but she understood that that's what was going on. But the fact is now she sort of teased it that they might be coming back, so that might be what she's doing. She's leaving Batgirl to take over a new Secret Six book, which should be really cool if that's the case, because that is a good series. And then they were showing these two other ones, which I think they're trying, well, one of them I know at least is trying to get more female-friendly comics out there, which is, I think, Gotham Academy, which I don't quite understand how it's going to match up with Batman, because it focuses on a all-girls school in Gotham.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe that's the whole point of it. Maybe they're just teasing it, and maybe something's going to happen. Like, maybe it's going to be like Harley Quinn's school where she's going to teach these kids how to be psychotic or something. I don't know. Something out there. Or Poison Ivy or whoever. Any female villains might be trying to mold the minds of young girls. Or maybe it's just going to be a completely different comic. Maybe it's going to have nothing to do with, comics except with Gotham, except that it takes place in Gotham. And then the other really weird one that's coming out is, I don't remember the title of it, but they're turning Wayne Manor into the new Arkham Asylum. And they're turning that into a series. Yeah, it's like Wayne Asylum or something like that is the name of the book, but it's getting its own book, and I don't know if it's going to focus on the people who work or the reason why they're shifting. I mean, I can understand it because if Wayne doesn't use his house that much, the Batcave's under there, he can keep track of his villains a lot easier. Right. But you'd think though that if they can get out, they might stumble upon the Batcave. So
exactly, not that well hidden. If you're in the house, I mean, you have nothing better to do than wander around. You're going to be like, what's behind this bookcase? So,
as I said, we'll see. I mean, those two books when they were announced, is sort of like, really, okay. And I'm not sure if I'm going to read them because I'm not into that. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'll check out the first issues, but it just seems like they were leading the Batman series of books to a certain point, and now with the introduction of these two books and then this new updated Batgirl, it seems like they're going to be flipping it on its head a little bit. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they have a plan. It's just right now it's kind of interesting to see. I wonder what they're going to be doing. I think that stuff's coming out after September. I think it's like October, November is when they're going to be releasing those new books. So we got a little bit of time, a little bit of time to figure out what's going on. But
and I do love Batgirl. I think it's one of the best comics out there right now. So I'll definitely be trying the new one too. But yeah, that's a great series.
Oh yeah. I like the artwork. I mean, I like her new costume. I like the attitude that she has in the new series. So, and what they've been talking about. Cameron Stewart's been doing interviews and stuff like that. He's been talking about how they're going to take a look at it. So, it should be interesting. Should be very interesting. So we've got 2 more months before their big September. Actually, 1 month. Actually, now I think about it. For their big, DC always does something big to celebrate their new 52, which was every September. They did a month of crazy books. Like the first year they did the All Year Zero books. Then they did 1 year, I guess that was 2012. I guess 2013 they did the villains, or maybe I'm missing something. I know that their villains got their own book. Yeah. And then this year it's going to be all the books are going to jump ahead 5 years to catch up with Future's End, which is going on in DC right now too, to see where using the creative teams what they would do. Basically, I think that DC put the question is, if you were still writing Batman 5 years from now, Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo, what would you be doing? So they'll say, okay, well, this is where we want to go if we were going to stay on for 5 years. This is where we want to go. So they might show an issue like Batman and a new Robin and new villains and stuff like that. So, or it could be, you know, a Hell on Earth type of thing. Maybe Robin is now taking over as Batman. You know, who knows? So it's one of those things that we'll see. DC's been doing something different also, sort of taking after what Marvel's been doing, because Marvel's been doing a lot of multiple covers. That's another big issue I have also.
Yeah, that annoys me to no end. It's like, you know, yeah.
But DC started. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you know, I fell for that years ago with some of like the X-Men when it had 4 covers for this, then there was a platinum, a gold cover, you know, a black and white cover. I fell for that mess. I'm like, I ain't doing that again. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because, you know, when every new Marvel comes out with a new number one, like a good example is Rocket Raccoon. They do the main cover. They do one that's kind of like a kid-looking one, you know, with a kid-style version of them. Then they do like another one with maybe an artist that had a connection to that character, and then they do a completely blank one, which I never knew what that was till my comic book guy told me about it. You might see those ones where their number one is nothing but a white cover.
Yes.
Supposedly, you're supposed to take those to like cons and stuff like that, and you find the artist for the book, and they're supposed to draw you a special drawing on the cover of that number one just for you, make it more personalized. It's interesting. It's kind of a good idea, but you know, if you're not going to do cons all that often, you just got a white cover, you know, and you open the book and there's the story. So,
plus, you know, how long does it take them to draw something on the cover? I know some of them are pretty fast, but you know, still, that's not a line I'd want to stand in. What do you mean you're taking a bathroom break? No, you're not either.
I've been waiting for 2 hours now.
Yes, sit down. That's right. You draw me something. So.
But so DC started to do it now. They've just been doing an additional cover. They started, I think, last month. No, it was 2 months ago with the bombshell covers, which was where you have the main cover and then you take one of the female cast members from that book and put them in a like 1930s, 1940s style like poster or thing like that. Like there was like, I think the Wonder Woman one was like, you know, the Yes We Can, you know, with the woman with the bandana and her fist up like this. There was like that one, and then, but you know, and then some of them were actually pretty interesting. But I'm not buying both of those covers. So what I would do is my store had both of the covers next to each other, and I'd look at it, I was like, okay, I kind of like that one, so I'm gonna take the regular one. Oh, I kind of like the bombshell cover, so I took that one. It's like, okay, they did that, and then last month, which was Batman's birthday month, supposedly, every comic had a alternate cover with Batman on it, even if you didn't really interact with them. Like it would be, Teen Titans would have Batman, you know, riding a motorcycle and Teen Titans flying around him or something like that. One of my favorites, though, was Justice League Darks, which is, I actually bought the Batman cover on this one. It was a story focused on Deadman. And the cover that they did with Batman was Deadman and Batman working together, drawn by Kelly Jones. Kelly Jones had done both of them. He did a run on Batman back in the early 90s, I think. And then he also did a 4-issue miniseries, like two-issue miniseries of Deadman. And I kind of liked his style, so I bought that one. But the other ones, it wasn't that exciting. I mean, you see them all the time. I mean, like with the Batman and Robin ones, they still did an alternate Batman cover. It's like, why? It's his own book.
It's his own book. It's like, what possible good did that do? Yeah.
And then,
what are you going to do?
Yeah, then I think I've heard, I don't know if it's this month or, I don't think it's probably going to be this month. They're going to be doing the selfie covers, where they're going to have the regular cover, then they're going to have a cover where it's going to be drawn by someone as if the character's taking a selfie. So you're going to have a picture of Batman taking a selfie. It's like, look, I just got a bad guy. Click.
No.
But I bring this up because what I'm actually really excited about is their October ones, because I love Halloween, I love October, it's fall, horror stuff. They're actually going to be doing alternate covers with the characters as the famous monsters. So the one I saw was the Batman and Robin cover has Bruce and Damian as mummies in a mummy's tomb, and it was freaking awesome. And there's like one where Superman is like a zombie, so his face is like all green, and he's like coming out of a, but drawn by good people. Like I think Eric Powell, who does the Goon, drew that cover, And Chris Burnham, who did Batman's Inc., did the cover of them as the mummies. And I think Wonder Woman's going to be like a hag or a witch or something like that. And they haven't shown all of them, but I think that might be a kind of a cool one that I might end up starting to buy some of the horror ones. That might be interesting. We'll see. So I think we covered everything that I wanted to about comics. How much time we got? So we've been on for about an hour. We got about, I guess, 20 minutes, half an hour to talk about this. Comics for newbies. I'll have to give a shout out to Janine. Janine was the one who actually mentioned this to me a couple months ago, I think, after one of our shows about doing maybe a show or discussing something about like starter comics for people who've never been in comic book stores before or don't know where to start. And I do another show where I do something called the Comic Call, where it's by myself every Wednesday. I try to do it where I get, this is what new comic I bought this week. Just talk about it, stuff like that. It's a half-hour-long show, maybe longer, depending, and it just gives me a chance to talk because I love to talk, obviously.
Right.
But my main reason for doing it is to get people to go to their comic stores because you're a comic fan, MJ. I'm a comic fan, and we know that the comic industry cannot survive unless we have younger people getting involved with it. Now, we've got a little bit of a reprieve because now we're starting to get more women into the stores, which is great, which is fantastic, and it's given them at least a few more years of a reprieve that we can keep building on comics. But before long, unfortunately, it's true, MJ. You and I, we're going to get older, and things are going to start
to come in.
Fresh blood to come in. Stuff might get tighter for us because we have to pay more for whatever, and we might not be able to buy as many comics before. So we need to have some of the younger people come in because right now, what's keeping the comic industry going is the people who collected comics back when they were kids, who are now in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, still collecting comics now. And the fact is now we got these women involved, which is fantastic. That helps going to build up a little bit, but we need more help with that. We need some more younger people to get brought in, or step up, or people who might have gone to see these comic book movies and might be interested in the characters. We need to get them into the comic book stores as well and get them to not just try go buy the most recent Guardians of the Galaxy comic or the trades. But when you're there, why don't you look around a little bit? You might find something else about that, and that's one of the reasons why I do this show also, is to get people to buy comics and also to let people know that comics are not just about superheroes anymore. It's a big portion of it, big portion of it.
They've grown so much, so
I mean, you've got romance comics, you've got thrillers, you've got horror. Fantasy comics, you've got horror, absolutely. You've got family comics as well. I mean, Tiny Titans, Angry Birds, Powerpuff Girls, Muppets, stuff like that. You're getting, lots of kids all age comics in there, so that kids go in, they like comics, and they want to keep buying them. And I'm so happy that I got my kids to like comics, and now they like to go to the comic book store with me, and I buy them a comic here and there. And so hopefully, as they get older, they might want to, like, my daughter's starting to branch out more. She wants to read more of the Captain Marvel and Miss Marvels because those are the ones that Dawn reads. And she sees mommy reading them. It's like, oh, I want to read them too. It's a female character. I want to read about them. So they've sat down and Dawn's read her Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel. So I mean, that's the whole point of it. So Janine, Janine just commented, I have an 8-year-old I have started buying comics for, was overwhelmed by the choices. So what we're going to do, Janine, I think, is not just talk about it this week. We'll talk about it not every show, but we might drop a few things here and there about comics for newbies. I think MJ and I are just going to give like a baseline right now for those who want to get into comics and are overwhelmed by the fact that there's so many out there, and I'm afraid that I'm not going to understand the chronology and stuff like that. Well, you're in luck because Marvel likes doing a lot of number ones, and so does DC.
They're constantly going to start over, so just grab one. But, and then, like you said, that's kind of it probably would be a big conversation that we could have, to sit down and like do some research, dig through them, and I take it for granted, I think, sometimes because I'm so used to who the characters are, how they interact, who they intermingle with. But somebody who's new to it would not get all those nuances. So I really would have to probably spend some time thinking about how someone could be introduced to it that doesn't know the back history for a lot of this.
And that's a good thing. I mean, the baseline for the most part is, as you just commented on, is number ones. There's the best place to start is you go to a comic store, you go in there, you go look at the new books on the rack, or if you're like my store, they have like 2 or 3 months worth of books up on the shelf before they go into the back issue bins, so you can get caught up if you miss ones or whatever. And you know, you go in there, and if you look through them, because most comic stores are going to let you browse, they'll let you take them off the rack, they'll let you look at the artwork. They might not let you read them because it's not a library, but you might be able to read a few things, see if you like it. But comics, for the most part, it's a visual medium. They want to get your eye, so the art is the biggest part of that. But you have to have a good story to go with good art, because we've had good art and the story's been crappy, and
it shows.
I get uninterested in the story after a while. It's pretty art, yeah, but you know what? You need to have a story. Yeah,
exactly.
So go in. The big baseline is go into the stores. Check out any number ones that you may see. You know, in some cases it might be a little overwhelming, but like Marvel's been releasing a bunch of really good number ones: Elektra, Magneto, Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, Nightcrawler, Cyclops, Storm, all those.
They're really good introductions to the characters, and you don't have to know what's going on, because a lot of times they're either rebooting them or they're reintroducing them for a reader who's not familiar. So, you know, I agree. I say go with the number ones or the one-shot trades. You know, a lot of times they'll take an 8-issue series and combine it into one graphic novel that, you know, has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and wraps it up nicely too. Some of those work well.
Yeah, that too. And also, if you're a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, also, and trades come in handy here. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is like on issue 18 right now or something like that. Marvel and DC, and even Image somewhat, are very good about getting trade paperbacks of the previous issues out in stores very quickly. A good example is like Image. They the comic Sex Criminals, which is fantastic, by the way. Not for kids though, but it is really it's funny. And for a book called Sex Criminals, sex is a big part of it, but you don't really see a lot of it. Right. It's done tastefully, but it's a comedic. It's not about guys who go around raping people. No, it's about a couple who discover that when they have sex, time stops for everybody except for them, so they can move around and do stuff for a while. So I mean, they can get dressed and then they can go like rob a bank or run around without anybody messing with them. Right. They did. I think they did. It was 5 issues. First 5 issues came out, and then it went like on a little hiatus. About a month or 2 after issue 5 came out, they released the trade right about the same time as the number 6 came out. So that way, you see number 6, say, oh, that's a pretty cool cover. I've heard some good things about Sex Criminals, but I'm a little bit behind on it. Oh, wait, look, there's the trade. Just came out this week. It has the first 5 issues, and then, oh, wait, here's number 6. Why don't I just take that also? Right. That works also. But yes, that's like the baselines you want to go for. You want to go for number ones, because if you have a good writer, they'll be able to set up a character as if it's the first time you're reading it. Now, Marvel also has this little write-up they do at the beginning, which details what's been going on in previous stuff, like just giving you just information you just need to know to understand what's going to go on in this story, and then you can follow up on that. That's okay, but if you're coming into it brand new, it's best to hit it on the ground floor, be it with a number 1 or a trade collection of either the first 6 issues of the series or like a mini-series, like you said, MJ, or a story arc or whatever, to do that. It's a good way to get caught up quickly. And stuff like that. Now, that's the main things you want to do. And DC is really good because that was the whole point of their new 52 back in, I guess it was 2011, was they wanted to reintroduce all the characters to a new generation of people, update them for the future, stuff like that. And it worked, apparently. I mean, because they sold a ton of comics that first month that they came out, and some of the books made it, some of them didn't, and so they've been sticking with, we're going to have 52 books out at all times for the whole month. So if books get canceled, new ones pop up. So if you like the characters, jump in and find out about them. DC's good about that, and as we said, also Marvel has been dropping number 1s like they're going out of style. So all kinds of new number 1s like that.
Yeah.
And and movies also do pretty good about setting up the characters as well. They might be slightly different, but if you see a Spider-Man movie, you get the general idea. Okay, his Uncle Ben was killed. He got these spider powers. He fights bad guys. So then you can pretty much go in with that knowledge you saw in the movies and be able to not be too lost in the comics. Now, those are that's the baseline things. Now, if you want to get to where you feel like you want to be like a comic genius, maybe not genius, but a guy who knows their gal who knows their comics. There are a bunch of series that has come out in the past that you may want to check out. They are like the holy grail for comic book people.
Right.
Dark Knight Returns. Am I right, MJ?
Yep.
Batman 1986 is a constant on, considered to be one of the best Batman storylines of all time. It's self-contained. You don't need
self-contained. Nope. It's an excellent starting point. You don't need to know all of his villains, everything, because it explains everything that happens. It's granted it's set ahead in time, but it's an excellent self-contained novel. And I think that it's good for children too. There might be some images in it that are scary, but I think someone who is like maybe a little bit intimidated by Batman having so many different titles and being involved in everything, this is an excellent one to read just by itself.
And Year One is another one also. Batman Year One is another one because we know that Batman was rebooted in New 52, but to be honest, him and Green Lantern were the two characters that really were not rebooted all that much. Right. And so you read Year One, also written by Frank Miller. It gives you a general basis. Okay, this is what Batman's about. This is how he started. And Batman, I don't think even appears in the book till the last issue, but it just talks about what is in the mindset of Bruce Wayne and the reason why he does this, and introduces Catwoman and other characters as well. And it gives you a general baseline that this is what Batman is like. And you check out the Batman here, it's not going to deviate all that much. You might not know all the stuff that's happened to him between Year One and Year 20 or whatever, but you're going to get the general idea. He's a guy who saw his parents get killed when he was younger, goes around the country, around the world, learns all these traits, comes in, tries to clean up Gotham by becoming a vigilante, and it has spurred these villains, and that's all you really need to know. I mean, any really Year One books are a good one to take a look at that as well. So, and then just Watchmen is another good one. That one's more for grown-ups.
Yes.
But Watchmen is I'm sorry, go ahead.
Long one. No, Watchmen is good. It's a long one. It's involved. The characters are very. If you buy the one shot, I mean the whole graphic novel, that's a long one. It's kind of involved, but it's very good. It's one of those that's a good example of an excellent writer and great art working together to tell a story. I mean, it's an amazing story.
Yeah. And that sort of deconstructs superheroes for you, and but it also goes to show you that comics are not just for kids anymore, that type of thing also. So that's more for an older group. Obviously, yeah.
I liked Why the Last Man. I think that's one that I think a lot of people could read because I think that there's some trades out there that kind of groups a lot of it together that I think if you get into that, you're going to see that's an example of comics being shown in a completely different medium that I think people could really like. If you like zombies or like more post-apocalyptic type tales, that's the type of thing that's a good example of showing that not every comic has to be about a superhero. So that's a really, really good one.
That's an absolutely good point also. Strangers in Paradise is another good one that you want to pick up. They're all collected in digests and compendium stuff like that. That one is more of a romantic comic with a little bit of a spy edge to it. Maybe not spy is the right word. Maybe more of a criminal aspect to it, I guess. But it's once again, as you said, that's something that we need to let the comic people know is that comics are not just superheroes.
Yeah. Whatever you're into, it's out there.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also another good thing is licensed comics is a good way to get started also. Everyone knows Star Wars. Right. Everybody knows Transformers. Everybody knows G.I. Joe. Everybody knows Ghostbusters. They have comics. that continue the stories.
Yes.
They've got Buffy Vampire Slayer comics that continues the story. Hellboy was a comic it started as a comic, became a movie, and became very popular again. Hellboy's another good one you can pick up also,
Right.
and it takes a look at, it's more horror, a little bit of a superhero aspect, sure, but it's not what you expect from a superhero comic, for the most part. So.
You know, Janine, one of the other things, Janine, too, like you said, check out the number ones, but then also most comic book stores are going to have a section of graphic novels, one-shots, trade paperbacks. Some of them are thin, some of them are going to be thick, but they're going to tell a good story because they may take 3 or 4 issues that is an entire story and wrap it up into one trade, and those are, there's tons of those in most comic book shops. So that's a good way too to get acclimated to some new characters and some new events that you may not have heard of, and you don't want to have to jump around from book to book trying to figure out what happened. So
that's good, and most of them, and most stores have their trades and graphic novels done alphabetically. So if you're into Batman or Wonder Woman or Green Lantern, go find the G section, go find the B section, go find the W section. You'll see all those things as well. And that's the big thing about what happened with comics. What got me more into comics was my dad started my collection with Spider-Man. He started collecting comics when he was younger. Spider-Man was his favorite. And then when I was old enough, he stopped collecting after a while. When I was old enough, he gave me his collection, said, "Here, read these, enjoy them." And I read them, and that's when I started buying just basically all Spider-Man stuff. But in these books, though, Spider-Man crosses over with other heroes, Avengers, Human Torch, stuff like that, and that led me to be, let me check out this Fantastic Four. I like this character, Johnny Storm, or I like this character, Ben Grimm. Let me see what he actually does in Fantastic Four. So then I jump over to Fantastic Four, and I start reading that, and then before you know it, I'm collecting like 20 titles. So I just have one more. And then, as I said, Janine, this will be an ongoing thing. But MJ and I sort of dropped this on MJ at the last minute, and so we're just sort of going off.
What we know.
Right offhand, but we will. I promise you, we'll do a little bit more do a little bit more research and check some stuff out in a couple of months or next month or whatever. We'll talk about something else. But one that I always say that if I ever taught a class in college about comic books, this would be one of the first books I would put in that I'd have my students study, and it's Grant Morrison's Animal Man series. It was a 26-issue story. As MJ said, there are stories out there that have a distinct beginning, middle, and end.
Right.
And this Animal Man story sort of got me into getting into more grown-up comics, because it's about a superhero. It's about a superhero whose powers that he can take the powers from any animal, and he becomes that animal. Like, he can take the strength of a bear. He doesn't turn into a bear, but he's got the strength of a bear. Or he can breathe underwater. He can take the power of a dolphin. He can jump underwater. He can breathe underwater, or a fish, or whatever. And this is a character who's really minor, not really big character. And when Grant Morrison came over to DC, this is back in the 80s, and they said, what character do you want to do? And he goes, Animal Man. They looked at him like he was insane, because no one ever heard of Animal Man. I was like, I got a great story I want to tell. And this story, this 26-issue story, was basically what I think, for the most part, was what set up Vertigo, because right around that time, Sandman started coming out also, and that added to the fact that, that comics are not just for kids, because this story is a very dramatic, heavy storyline that, while it does have a superhero theme and a superhero storyline, if you look at the storyline in its entirety, there's a lot more work going on. There's a lot more dramatic situations, a lot more adult situations going on than you expected. A lot of stuff that people look at that never discuss and talk about. And then he I'm just gonna throw this out there as a tease. He breaks the fourth wall, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And that last issue is probably one of the greatest comics I've ever read. Animal Man number 26, which wrapped up everything, is one of the greatest comics I've ever read, and it's available, I think, in 3 or 4 trades, and it is well worth it. The art's really good, but it's my first shot at looking at Grant Morrison. And MJ, you got to go? I know you.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Just be a minute. I got to give someone their car keys. I'll be right back.
All right, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I'm going to talk about continuing with my Grant Morrison real quick, and then we're going to end up the series. Grant Morrison's since writing Animal Man, he's gone on to do a bunch of other stuff for DC, Doom Patrol. He wrote a series of X-Men, all new X-Men for a while with Marvel, and then he came back to DC and took over Batman. And did a long run on Batman. He also did a bunch of independent stuff. He did and some other Vertigo stuff as well. I think he wrote We Three, if I recall, which was about a dog, two dogs and a cat. No, a dog, a cat, and a bunny who were being tested for becoming militarized, and they escaped. And that's a good series also. We Three is another good one that you might want to check out also. It's a bit more vicious. It wouldn't be for kids. But Grant Morrison has always been sort of hit or miss for me. He's done some really, really good stuff and then some pretty weird stuff. But he sells comics for DC. And they're giving him the keys now to the multiverse. For those who might not know, DC has created what they call the multiverse, which is 52 distinct worlds that are like mirror images of DC Comics proper, but little things are different. Like there's one where Superman lands in Russia and became the superhero for Russia, and Russia at that time had a different mindset than America, so he became a soldier for Russia, and that helped the Soviet Union take over the world. So now the Soviet Union has taken over this world. DC did a bunch of comics called Elseworlds, which were one-shots, one-offs, which are always fun to look at also because you don't need to know anything about the characters, and these are just different takes on the character that you might like. My favorite Elseworlds is Gotham by Gaslight, which is a one-shot story about what if Batman was around during the Jack the Ripper time, and he went toe-to-toe with Jack the Ripper. Fantastic story, art by Mike Mignola. So Grant Morrison has had an idea for this multiverse, Infinite Crisis, that Jeff Johns wrote a couple years ago, developed that there are 52 individual worlds in the DC universe, and they're all mirror images of the DC universe, but with slight changes here and there. New heroes, different takes on things as well. And so people have been playing with that a little bit. But now Grant Morrison is like putting his final stamp on it with his series Multiversity, which is starting actually this month. I don't know the exact first week it's going to come out, but in the comics that just came out this week, they have in the back a map of the multiverse, all 52 worlds, as well as some other interesting things as well.
Okay, sorry.
All right, I'm just talking about Multiversity now.
Okay.
And this is just the 52 different worlds, and it just gives you an idea that something big is on the horizon, and the first issue of Multiversity's come out this year, so, or this month rather, I should say. Would I recommend that for a first-time comic person? Probably not. But maybe, because as I said, a lot of these worlds were first appeared in Elseworld stories, like I was telling them, MJ, the Red Sun Superman, where Superman's alien craft lands in Russia instead of Kansas, and the Soviet Union takes over the Earth that way with him. That's one of the worlds in here. So those are really good first-time comics also, because they're all one shots or like 3-issue miniseries. Right. That are one and done, and you don't need to know anything about the characters because they're recreating the characters for a different time, a different style, and that makes it fun also, and that might make you get more interested in the character. Like there was one where Batman crossed over with Green Lantern. It's called, I think, In Darkest Night or something like that, or maybe that was Spider-Man or Superman rather, maybe, and he had the power of Green Lantern and Superman, so that was.
No, you're right. There are some definitely ones, and then some of the ones that I was thinking, if you want to look at well-known characters, or maybe if you're used to the movies and you want to know a little bit more about them, there are a couple of, like for the X-Men, House of M, which I think is one of the great standalone tells as well. That's a good one to read. It's really the characters are already established, but I think it goes into depth enough that you learn a lot about them because of what they go through. I think that's a good one. Justice League Origins, the latest 52 version of Justice League, is really good if you read Origins because it's a retelling of how they met, of each one's kind of their individual origin, just enough to make them kind of gel as a group, or not gel as a group in some cases. But I think that's another good one with the Justice League movie coming up that maybe would be good for people to read to start out with.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what you do also, Janine, is that you don't necessarily have to, if they want to start collecting a character, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to start right away with the most recent issue of the comic if you're afraid that you're gonna get lost. As we said, number one is the best choice, but if you say Spider-Man, which is on like on number 5 or 6 right now, that might not be a good example. Like Batman right now is like on issue 33 or something like that. You might want to read individual story arcs, as MJ also commented. Like a good example for Spider-Man is one of my absolute favorite storylines was Kraven's Last Hunt, written by J.M. DeMatteis with art by Mike Zeck. This is back in the 80s, and it is a standalone 6-issue miniseries story arc that filtered through the comics, but it has a beginning, middle, and end, and it gives you an insight into one of Spider-Man's villains and Spider-Man himself. And also take a look at some of his. It's mostly a tale about Kraven the Hunter, but it has a little bit of Spider-Man in it. It's got a little bit of Mary Jane in it as well, and it gives you a look at the characters that way and gives you an idea of what the character is like. And there are lots of trades. I mean, you can probably jump into any trade and just follow their, just pull out a trade and might find a good storyline. Blackest Night's another good one from the Green Lantern series, whatever. But a good point you made, MJ, is that the New 52 is still pretty young. I mean, they haven't even reached their 3rd year yet, so they've
good time to get into that. Yeah.
They've got about 4 trades out there, so if you want to get started on that right away, and that's pretty affordable, especially most comic stores. I know mine every weekend they have special sales. Like the sale they had this weekend was 50% off of all DC and Marvel trade paperbacks. Now just think about that. If there's 4, say you want to catch up on Wonder Woman, there's 4 Wonder Woman trades, and they're all roughly, say, about, I don't know, let's just say $15 or whatever. Half price off is like $7.50. So you can buy 2. You can buy 2 trades for the price of 1. So basically, if you feel like spending, I don't know, like $30, you can get 4 trade paperbacks and be caught up in no time. And then 60% off of independent trades also, because that's the other thing also. They're independent comics. Image has been blowing the doors off of the comic world now. They've got a whole bunch of really excellent new series out there, and everything. There's science, there's mob comics, there's historical comic, there's weird superhero type comics, there's like horror, there's all kinds of, there's tons of them out there. And it's always good you can jump onto one of those, because you don't always have to go, okay, Marvel, DC, they're the big 2, I have to read Marvel, DC. No, you don't. You really don't.
I mean, I would say Image is probably the 3rd biggest, at least for me. It's like definitely up there, but yeah, and they take a lot more chances with some of the stuff that they do. They're a little more edgy. So no, definitely look at some of the independent publishers. Don't just stick with the big 2.
Yeah. And then, Janine, you also mentioned when we were talking, when I made that mistake about Doctor Who. Doctor Who has comics out. Doctor Who has, IDW has the American license for Doctor Who comics, and they've been releasing comics here and there focusing on all the Doctors. And then I just recently bought Titan, which is a British company. They've also released some Doctor Who comics. They've just released 2 new series that just started like 2 weeks ago. One is the 11th Doctor, one's the 12th Doctor, and it's new stories featuring David Tennant's Doctor and also Matt Smith's Doctor, and they're both individual issues, so you can probably still find the first issue somewhere else. So it goes back to licensing. If there's a character you like, more than likely they've got a book about it. They don't have Stargate. I'm sorry, they don't have Stargate yet, but they do have Firefly. They've got Firefly. There's Firefly comics out there. There's Buffy comics out there. As we said, Ghostbusters, Star Wars, Star Trek, just all kinds of just crazy stuff. Yeah. So
I mean, you can just wander forever and just you'll see stuff that you have no clue what it is, and sometimes that's the best way. You just blindly grab something.
Yeah, and you might be surprised. And in some cases, you know what? You might say, this is terrible, I never want to read it again, but at least you read it, And you might find stuff like, I also remember I was working at Diamond when The Walking Dead first came out in comic format. And I was never really into zombies or whatever, but when you work at Diamond, you get free comps from the companies. And it's not because, this is a bribe or whatever. No, what it is basically says, we're giving you the comics so that you, the customer service reps, can read it, and then you can sell it to your retailer so that we can make more money. That's basically, I mean, they figure, you know what, we'll print an extra 1,000 copies or whatever. We'll just send it free of charge to not just Diamond but to other people as well. And you know what, you get them a week ahead of time, and it gives you a chance to read it, digest it, and then when you're talking to one of your customers, if you liked it, you say, hey, you know what, there's this new book called Walking Dead. It's about a zombie apocalypse. You know, it hasn't really been done before, but the story is fantastic. The artwork is amazing. I think you might want to, pick up a few issues, you know, and that's how things spiral. So I never really was a big fan of The Walking Dead, and I think I had like maybe 5 or 6 issues piled up in my closet because I wasn't, in my file cabinet, I wasn't a big fan of it. So, not everybody's going to want to read it and try to sell it to their customers. But, but sometimes I think there are people who I work with, and they were telling me, hey, have you checked out Walking Dead yet? I was like, no, I haven't. He said, you should check it out. I think you might like it. And so I opened up my drawer. There's 5 issues right there. Boom, I put them down. I have break time or lunchtime or whatever. I sit down, I read those comics, and then before you know it, I'm sitting there saying, dude, have you read Walking Dead? You got to buy more copies of it. It's awesome.
Yes.
So, yeah, MJ is absolutely right. The first thing you need to do is go to a comic store. Find a comic store. Find a local comic store. It might not be the first one that you find, but go to the Comic Shop Locator Service website. Type in your zip code. They'll give you the listing of all the stores within about a 30-mile radius of you. And there's going to be, believe it or not, there might be a lot. I mean, depending on where you live, out of the Midwest, you might not have quite so many around you, but I'll give you a good example. In my area, I can think of 4 off the top of my head, which are all within a 30-mile radius of where I live. So, that's something. And you go to your store and you take a look at it. Some stores are pristine, gorgeous. Everything is clean and neat, organized. They've got very helpful staff members. There's a lot of cool people in there. And then there might be some that, they look a little disorganized. It smells weird, and the people who work there don't really help you. And then if that's the case, you move on to a different one. You try to find one that fits you. Or they might be very quiet, and you might ask them a question. Before you know it, they're just, well, you gotta get this, and they're going crazy. It might not be the best looking store, but these people know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Anybody who works in them is going to know what they're doing. And maybe sometimes, since if you're just trying to find some stuff and you want to take your time and get some help, maybe stay away from going after 6 o'clock on a Wednesday, New Comic Book Day, because it can get pretty busy, and they can be, not have the most time to spend with somebody who just wants to browse and ask questions. But they're still going to help you. But I'm just saying that's a very busy time in most comic book stores.
Exactly, and that's also the whole reason why they do Free Comic Book Day, and also why they've been doing this Halloween Haunt Fest also, where they give out free comic books to everybody to get them into their store and say, hey, take a look around, and you might find something you like, and also say, hey, here's a free comic book that features Rocket Raccoon. I've got a whole bunch of other Rocket Raccoon stuff in here. My shop is fantastic. Whenever a big series is on TV or on movies or is in the news or whatever, as soon as you walk in, there's a huge display of those things. Like a good example, I walked in Saturday, they had a huge display of Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, all the trades they had, some t-shirts, some toys, stuff like that. But then they also had some stuff for The Walking Dead right there, because that series is coming back soon. Some Spider-Man stuff, because that movie's still hanging around a little bit in some places as well. And I have no doubt that when Flash and Arrow and Constantine and all them roll in also, and S.H.I.E.L.D. rolls in again, they'll put up displays that show, okay, these are some comics you might want to pick up if you like this stuff. So and then these stores might also have special deals. My store does special deals every weekend. And they also are able to sometimes get artists and writers to come in and sign their books also. And that's always kind of cool also, is to see them do it. So, but yeah, go. Just first thing you do, find a comic store. Second thing you do, go in, look around, see if there's something that catches your eye, because that's what comics do. The covers are the eyes to the soul. If you look at this cover, it's going to make you want to pick it up and say, let me look at the inside. And then if the artwork doesn't quite always match what's on the outside, they're like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. So I say, you know what, I like Batman. This looks like an interesting story. Let me pick it up and buy it, you know? So I think this is the first of many discussions we'll have. I think we laid a pretty good baseline for you. The first thing you got to do is you got to find a store. You got to go in. You just got to look around.
Look around. Take your time. Don't feel rushed.
Yep. Some stores do recommendations. Mine don't, but there are some stores that they have a wall that all their employees say, Scott recommends this, or MJ recommends this, or Dylan recommends this, and it's something usually different because every person has a different like.
Right.
So I might say I like Rocket Raccoon, so Rocket Raccoon number 1 will be up there. MJ says he might like Elektra, you know, number 3 or whatever. There's Elektra number 3, and then you know somebody likes it. So obviously there's something good about it because somebody likes it. So I say, you know what, let me take a look at it. And if you like it,
if you like it and they like it and you have the same taste, find that employee. Hey, when are they going to be working? And just ask them, hey, what would you recommend? That's always a good way to start off some conversation because they're going to just be more than happy to say, hey, you like what I like? Try this, this, and this. But yeah, definitely engage is like the biggest thing you can do.
And one last thing before we go, if you have young kids, kids comics are a whole lot easier to follow than regular comics because the kids comics are all one and dones and you don't need to know characters and stuff like that. You just need to see cool pictures and you might not remember who everybody is or what. Like a good example is Tiny Toons. I mean, Tiny Toons is DC characters as young kids. Mm-hmm. And they have the same sort of characteristics they have in the comics, but not really. I mean, a good example, Tiny Titans, Robin is one of the main characters. He's kind of a cocky guy, and he's sort of like the leader, and then there's Beast Boy, who he loves to change into his different, bodies, stuff like that. And he just pops around, and he makes the jokes and stuff like that. And then there's Raven, who's very dark and very dry, and the same character, same way. But I like this character, but there's no big story arc you need to follow with them, or you don't need to know who this person is. No. You like this character. She's cute. He's cute. They're fun to play. So
have an adventure one time and that's it. They'll go on to the next one. So
Exactly. So kids books are the best place to start. If you have young kids, just go in and let them just go crazy. Angry Birds is a good one. I was glowing about that. It's one of my new favorite kids book comics is Angry Birds. It is very cleverly written, very well drawn, and it's perfect for kids. It's cute. It's funny. Everybody knows who Angry Birds are. So. It works out in the end. So for kids, go right in there and just Scooby-Doo. I like my daughter. She knows a little bit about Scooby-Doo, but there's a comic, it's Scooby-Doo Team Up. Wonder Woman was on the cover. She says, "Daddy, I want that cover." So I said, "Okay." I bought her Scooby-Doo Wonder Woman. We've read it over and over again. She knows who Wonder Woman is, but she does. You don't need to know that. Okay, Wonder Woman is a goddess of Mount Olympus. Her father's Zeus. She's a goddess of war. She's dating Superman. No, it's just a one-shot story where Wonder Woman is working with the Scooby Gang trying to solve a crime. Right. And it's fun for kids. So
it draws them in.
So hopefully something's been helpful, and as I said, Janine, and anybody else out there, we will continue to add little bits and pieces about how to get comic newbies involved. Find your store, talk to people who work there, talk to friends who are comic readers, what they would recommend. Go to stores, pick up number ones, pick up trades, pick up graphic novels, pick up one-shots. Pick up characters licensed characters. You might know the characters, stuff like that you've seen the Star Wars movies a million times, so you can pick up a Star Wars book and you can pretty much figure out, okay, here's Han Solo, here's Chewbacca, here's Princess Leia. Right. I know who they are, and let's just see what adventure they're doing now. But trades are definitely your best friends, and any number ones. Those are the places you want to start with. Any number ones you see, grab them, read them. Right. Trades, if a comic you like is on issue 33, pick up some of the trades. Just get started on that. A good example for me is Saga. I didn't get into Saga when it first came out, which is it's a space opera, romance space opera thing. Very well written, very well drawn. I didn't get into it right away, so I've got all the trades collected, and I got to sit down and read all them, and then I'll be able to get caught up with them. But I haven't done that yet. Stuff like that. Go pick up some of the trades. Just start. Find something you find interesting. Looks interesting. If the artwork looks interesting. That's the thing also. If you don't like the character, open up the book. Look at the look at the artwork. If the artwork draws you in, you like how the characters look, the costume's really neat looking. There's somebody somebody looks like you. Go for it. So I think that's where we're going to end our comic discussion today. We will, as I said, talk about this more down the line. I want to thank MJ for hanging on.
Thank you
for being with us. I'll see you again. We'll do this again next month. But I did want to talk to the Dylan Knows fans out there. September's coming quick. September's next month, and believe it or not, September will be my 1-year anniversary of doing Dylan Knows. And as everybody likes to make big deals about anniversaries, comics especially, they love to do, big anniversary things. Oh, issue 500, I'm going to make it quadruple size with multiple storylines and stuff like that. So I'm going to be, I'm in the process of working on it right now. I got a month to finesse it, but I love doing this show, and I hope to keep doing it for a long, long time. And I always look forward to doing more shows. So in September, to celebrate my 1-year anniversary, I will be doubling up on Dylan Knows episodes, which means you're going to see 2 episodes of MJ, 2 episodes of my list show, 2 episodes of my paranormal show, and 2 episodes of my international show. And it's going to be interesting. I've got some interesting ideas in the pipeline, like for the comics. One of the things I was talking about MJ is that we'll continue to do my Sunday show. So Sunday's going to be always going to be Sunday, but there's going to be a Saturday night, a Friday night, a Monday, a Wednesday, whenever somebody can do it. We'll do it then. Kind
of like your variant cover.
Exactly, like a variant cover. But
Dylan Knows variants.
But luckily, or we could just rehash the same episode twice. That would be awesome.
That's true.
Here's a variant cover. I'm wearing a different shirt. MJ's wearing a different shirt, and we're going to talk about the same exact stuff. But with September rolling in next month, the first weekend of September is Baltimore Comic-Con. So I'll be probably talk a little bit about that, but I think we're going to focus on next episode will be about the DC 52 because it'll be their 3rd year in business, and we can sit down and we can discuss in detail what we thought about it. And the secondary one, I'm still trying to work some stuff out, but I hope to have the lovely Charming Red, Moms Read Comics. She has her own show on Google Plus called Comicosity Hangout every Monday at 9 o'clock, where her and 2 other lovely ladies just talk comics, and they get all the cool people. They get the artists and writers to come on their show, and they get to interview them. So I'm going to try.
They have to start somewhere.
Exactly. And that's where we are too.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to try to get her to come on the show and just hang out with us. Should be a lot of fun. Maybe get some pointers about how to get some of the creative people on here, maybe. And then who knows? I do know somebody in the business. I might try to get them in. I've tried once and they never responded to me, so I might try again. So that'll be fun. And so I'll be doubling up on episodes of Dylan Knows. Just a lot of really interesting stuff. I'm going to try to make the secondary episodes special in some way. Like I've got some special guests that I'm working on trying to line up to come on some of my other shows, so it should be a lot of fun. So keep watching Dylan Knows. I know it was gone for 2 weeks, but as long as the tech eventually works,
we'll be back.
We'll be back. Yeah. Don't miss Snark Alec Radio, which is the grandpappy of Dylan Knows. They do a show every Thursday night at 9. It's been 9:30. I will be on Snark Alec Radio this week, so we'll be talking Sharktopus versus Terracuda, some Sharknado, some Defiance. So it's gonna be that's more of a pop culture geeky, snarky type of thing that we do. Next week, I believe I'll have to verify with my co-host Gigi Fletcher. Our list show will be on Saturday, actually. I think Gigi has other plans on Sunday and cannot do our show on Sunday. So Dylan Knows list show will be on Saturday. I have to verify that with Gigi for sure, but I think we're going to do a primetime Saturday show, maybe 9 o'clock. Since there's no sci-fi movie on next Saturday for us to snark, I might just do a primetime show with Gigi for our list. And it's going to be, it's not your typical, I mean, our list show has usually been about movies or TVs. This is going to be something a little bit different because you don't want to get stuck in the rut, you know. So we're going to be doing, I was just on vacation. She's going to be going on a vacation. Down the line, we're going to do our top 5 vacation spots.
Oh, okay.
And talk about why we like them, stuff like that. You know, it might not sound that interesting, but it's a different, you know, if you're pop culture fans, but it's a different take on something and liven things up a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Then maybe that Sunday I'll be able to see Guardians of the Galaxy and be able to talk to MJ about it. So.
Yes.
So with that, I think we're going to end the show. Once again, thank you, MJ, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And let's go see Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Everybody, go see it.
Go
Run
see
out
it.
now, as a matter of fact. Go get your tickets and go.
All right, gang. We'll see you all later. Thanks for listening.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.